Hi, I'm Dangerfield, and I'm delighted to welcome back my friend and Stylophone Gen R-8 expert, Leigh Kemp, for this beginner's guide series on the Stylophone Gen R-8. We're going to take everything step by step and break down all the info into easy to understand language. So if the Gen R-8 is your first synth, or you're just hoping to get the most out of it, this video is for you.
Let's get started.
The Stylophone Gen R-8 is an analog semi-modular synthesizer. The case is made of steel, and its dimensions are 5.8 cm high, 36.6 cm wide, and 16.7 cm deep. To switch it on, click the on switch here, and to switch it off, the same switch. Although not a feature on every Gen R-8, depending on how recent your model is, it may have a battery compartment located on the bottom, which enables it to be powered by 4 AA batteries. All Gen R-8s, however, will come with a power supply to connect your Gen R-8 to an electricity source. The power supply is connected via the DC in, just here, and it is a 12 volt 1.6 amp supply that is center positive.
If you decide to use a power supply cable that didn't come with your Gen R-8, make sure it's a grounded 12 volt supply that is a minimum of 1.6 amps and is center positive.
The next thing we want to show you is the line out. This is what you need to connect your Gen R-8 to either some speakers or a DAW in order to play it out loud or record its sound. The cable you'll need to do this isn't included with your Gen R-8, so you'll need to pick up a 1/4 inch mono cable. The side for the Gen R-8 must be 1/4 inch, but depending on what you want to connect it to, the opposite end of the cable can be different. For example, to connect your Gen R-8 to the interface and your computer in order to record it, you can use a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch mono cable.
The keyboard is a 3-octave monophonic touch keyboard. This means it only plays one note at a time. Unlike most other stylophones, it is not played with a stylus, instead you use your finger. The lowest note you can play on it is a C1, and the highest, which involves turning the octave knob, is a C8. That's the range of an average piano. Now we're going to tell you about the glide/tie and mod/rest keys. These are on the side of the keyboard and have different functions. The mod setting overrides the depth of the LFO of the Gen R-8. The LFO is a low frequency oscillator and operates below hearing range, but its raw differs depending on what you connect it to. LFO depth level is how big the wave on the LFO is. So when pressed, the mod setting overrides whatever the depth level may be. You can then control the amount that you override the wave size via the mod depth knob on the control panel. Here's a quick demonstration.
The rest setting is part of the sequencer functionality. More on that later, but it basically allows you to drop a rest, silence or gap between the notes if you want to play them in a row, a bit like drawing rests on sheet music. Here's a quick demonstration. As you can hear, there was a rest in that sequence of notes because I'd pressed the rest key at the point where I wanted a gap.
When pressed, the glide setting allows you to slide across the keys on the Gen R-8 for a glissando or portamento, a smooth transition in pitch between the notes. You create the effect by first holding down the glide key, making sure you keep it held down, then holding down the note you want to slide, and then pressing the note you want to slide to. Now let's look at the control panel, as this is important for the glide setting. The time and speed functions are important here. The time speed knob controls how quickly the slide between the notes happen. This functions in both of the two modes. Mode 1 involves clicking off the time speed button. This enables the time speed knob to control the speed of the slide. In mode 1, the speed it takes for one note to travel to the other varies depending on the spacing of the notes. Mode 2 involves selecting the time speed button. This makes any slide or glissando, no matter how big the gap between the notes or keys, take an equal amount of time to conclude based on the time that you selected with the knob. As you can hear, the pitch slide sounds exactly the same on both, even though the gap between the keys was bigger on the second one, because we had the same speed setting and the time speed button selected on both.
The tie setting is also part of the sequencer functionality. It allows you to create a tied or held note in the middle of your sequence of notes. Here's how. First, hit the record button on your sequencer. Before we do any more, it's important to remember that you can play a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 16 beats into the sequencer. Step 2 is to have the phrase you want to play ready. I notated mine for this demo, but you can do it however you like. Step 3 is to start playing in the notes, one at a time. You don't have to worry about rhythm or tempo, just touch the keys you want to use one by one until you get to the one you want to tie. When you reach the tied note, put your finger down on the glide tie button and keep it held down as you play the note you want to tie. If you want the tie to last for 1 beat, like in my sequence, press the note you want to tie twice. If it's for 2 beats, press it 3 times, and so on. Once the tie is complete, remove your finger from the glide tie button. And if you have any more notes to play after the tie, complete the sequence, remembering to keep it to a maximum of 16 beats. Once you've finished playing in your newly tied sequence, press the play stop button. We'll be looking at the functionality of the sequencer in more detail later on. Thanks so much for watching this video on the Beginner's Guide series on the Stylophone Gen R-8. We really hope you've been enjoying it and found it useful. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to my channel if you're new. And why not check out Leigh Kemp's channel for other amazing stylophone tutorials. And click here to watch another video in the Stylophone Gen R-8 series.